Big trouble. Aso Rock shakes as Tinubu receives unexpected message from 300 lawmakers in 27 countries. Big trouble. Aso Rock shakes as Tinubu receives unexpected message from 300 lawmakers in 27 countries. To my dear listeners, what message did Tinubu receive from 27 countries that landed him in trouble, and why? Follow me more on today's news. Over 300 parliamentarians, city councillors, trade unionists, activists, and academics from 27 countries have called for the immediate release of protesters who were detained during the End Bad Governance protests in Nigeria. These demonstrations, held from August 1 to 10, 2024, saw thousands of Nigerians take to the streets to protest against bad governance and demand a better future for the country. The protests were met with a heavy-handed response from the government, with security forces arresting hundreds of demonstrators. Many of those arrested were later charged with serious offenses, including treason. While some protesters have been granted bail, a large number remain behind bars due to the strict and often unaffordable bail conditions imposed by the court. Earlier this month, the Federal High Court in Abuja, presided over by Justice Emeka Nwite, set particularly stringent bail conditions for 10 protesters. Each of the accused was required to provide 10 million naira in bail and secure a surety with property in Abuja, making it almost impossible for most to meet the requirement. This decision sparked widespread outrage among Nigerian citizens and human rights organizations who view the conditions as an infringement on the rights of the protesters and an attempt to suppress dissent. In response to this development, Internationalist Standpoint, an international socialist revolutionary organization, launched a petition calling for the immediate and unconditional release of all detained protesters. The petition, which has been signed by over 300 lawmakers, trade unionists, and activists from 27 different countries, condemned the Nigerian government's crackdown on protesters and calls for an end to the repression of activists, trade unionists, and socialists. The petition lists signatories from countries around the world and emphasizes the international community's solidarity with the Nigerian people in their fight for justice. In a statement, internationalist standpoint held President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration accountable for the economic crisis and worsening living conditions in Nigeria, which they say have fueled the protest. The group also condemned the violence and repression used against protesters, calling for an end to the killings and harassment of those who participated in the demonstrations. The full list of signatories is available on the organization's website, internationaliststandpoint.org. The petition has drawn attention to the ongoing human rights violations in Nigeria and has amplified the voices of those demanding justice for the detained protesters. Despite the government's attempt to silence dissent, the End Bad Governance movement has continued to gain momentum, both within Nigeria and internationally, with growing pressure on the Nigerian government to address the concerns of its citizens and respect of their rights to protest. As of now, the fate of many detained protesters remained uncertain, but the international community's call for their release has sparked renewed hope that justice will eventually prevail. Now I've come to the